In front of the luxurious castle of a landlord there is a beautiful, carefully tended flower garden, filled with strange plants and flowers. Guests who came to visit the owner all praised the bushes brought from faraway countries and the artistically arranged flower beds. Everyone understood that these were not ordinary social compliments. People from around that area, from neighboring towns and villages, came on Sundays to ask for permission to roam those beautiful streets. When students are obedient, they are rewarded by being allowed to visit the flower garden. Right next to the garden, outside the foot of the fence, one sees a large and strong thorn flower tree with perennial roots growing in all four directions, alone looking like a bush. However, no one paid any attention to it, except for the old donkey who pulled the cart for the milk seller. The grandmother often tied the donkey nearby, and he tried his best to stretch his long neck towards the thorn flower tree and say, "Why is it so beautiful, so delicious?" But the leash was too short, so the donkey had no choice but to open his eyes, caress and flirt. One day, a large number of guests came to a meeting at the castle. They are all noble people, mostly from the capital. Among them were many beautiful young women. Among them was the most beautiful girl from afar. Of Scottish descent, she was from a noble family, with a lot of land and wealth. It was such a treat, the boys and mothers all said. It and number 39. Such a blessing to marry her. Those young people played soccer and played all sorts of games. After that, they walked among the flower beds, and according to northern custom, each young lady picked and pinned a flower in the buttonhole on the chest of a young man. The girl from far away could N&39 find any flowers she liked. Then she looked behind the fence. There was a thorn bush, big flowers, red and blue. She smiled, asked the boss and number 39's son to pick a flower for her and said, "That is the flower of my country, it is depicted in the Scottish national emblem. Please pick one for me." The young man hurriedly picked the most beautiful flower and could not avoid being pricked by a very painful thorn. The Scottish girl placed that ordinary flower on his chest and he felt unusually happy. All the other boys were willing to exchange their rare flowers for flowers given to them by the girl from far away. When the landlord and number 39's son puffed out his chest with joy, "How was the thorn flower?" The tree felt a flutter in its stomach and felt satisfied and refreshed, as if after a dew the sun came to warm the tree. Wa Gai thought to herself, and quote, "It may look like that, but I and number 39 am also a noble person. I and number 39, they always been skeptical like that. But in this world, it and number 39 not often that people are put in their right place. Strictly speaking, I should be inside the fence, not outside, at least because my daughter has crossed the fence and is dangling from the button of a handsome young man and number 39's shirt." The thorn flower tells that event to all the young shoots sprouting on its blooming body and all the flower buds blooming on its branches. A few days passed, not because of the stories of passers-by, nor because of the chirping of birds, but because of the thousands of echoes of all the stories happening in the house echoing from the windows. The thorn flowers were heard. Knowing that the young man to whom the Scottish girl gave the flower had received both her heart and her betrothal. And quote, "It was I who made the match for them, it was I who created that love affair." And quote. The thorn flower cried out and endlessly recounted that memorable event to all the new flowers blooming on the branches. Hempflower also added, "Surely people will plant me in the garden, since I am very worthy of it. Perhaps they will place me ceremoniously in a flower pot, where my roots will be compacted in good manure. That is the greatest honor for plants and trees." The next day, he was so convinced that the favor was coming like rain that he promised all his flowers that they would be placed in a porcelain vase, and that each flower would perhaps adorn the defect. A young man and number 39's shirt. That is the rarest fortune that a thorn flower dares to dream of. Those high hopes were not realized in the slightest. There were no porcelain vases, not even earthen vase. No one picks flowers from thorn bushes to put them in buttonholes. The flowers continue to breathe air and light, drinking in the sunlight during the day and the dew at night. They hatch and are only welcomed by honey bees and bumblebees to suck the pistils. The thorn tree angrily shouted, "Damn these devils, thieves and robbers! Why can and number 39's skewer them with one thorn? Why do you dare to steal the fragrance of the flowers intended to decorate the buttonholes of young men?" Even though he was out of breath, the situation would not change at all, and in the end the flowers had to lay down their beautiful heads. They fade and wither, but new flowers appear. Every time a new flower is born, the father tells them, and quote, "You were born at the right time, it could n and #39 t have bloomed at the right time. And quote, more opportunity than now. I look forward to every hour and minute when we will cross the fence and get inside." And quote. A few innocent chrysanthemums, a series of small, tall and thin saplings growing nearby, heard those speeches and foolishly believed them. They admire the thorn tree very much, but the thornflower, on the contrary, completely despises them. The skeptical old donkey was also not sure of the thorn tree and number 39's confident declarations. Anyway, wanting to avoid having to accidentally move to places that were far away and unreachable, he tried his best to reach his beloved thorn bush. He pulled the rope around his neck in vain because the rope was too short to break. The more he thought about the glorious thornflower depicted on the coat of arms of Scotland, the more he believed that it was one of his ancestors. He believed that he belonged to that famous family and was born from a son who came here from the land of Caucasus, long ago. Those are lofty thoughts, very suitable for such a large thorn tree, which has formed an entire bush on its own. The nettle next to it approves of its thorny flowers. Nettle said, "Usually, people are the children of their ancestors without knowing it, and they Don and number 39's see it every day. Hey, like me, I firmly believe that I am not an ordinary plant. Is it true that they use me to weave the fine stuff that makes clothes for queens? Summer passed, then autumn passed. Leaves fall down. Flowers darken and have reduced fragrance. The gardener boy picked up dry branches and jumped up. Up and down the waterfalls and rapids, life is like that, up and down day after day. The young pine trees in the forest have begun to think about Christmas, about the beautiful day when people will decorate them with colored cloth, needles and small candles. They expect that glorious fate even if they have to pay with their lives. The thornflower said, "Freak. It and number 39's been 8 days since they got married and I and number 39's still here? It was I who made that wedding, but it seemed like no one thought of me, as if I didn't and #39's exist in this world. They abandoned us. I and number 39's inherently proud, So I don't and number 39. Even bother to take a single step to find those cruel people, and even if I wanted to, I wouldn't and hash 39. Be able to because I can and number 39. Move. Waiting patiently is the best thing. Several weeks passed. The thorn flower tree stood alone with its last single flower. That flower was big and full, looking almost like an artichoke flower. It bloomed close by, so it was very strong. The cold wind blew, the bright color of the flower disappeared, the flower became a silver sun. One day, the young lovebirds, now husband and wife, went to play in the garden. They approached the fence and the beautiful Scottish girl looked across the field and said, "Look, that thorn tree from before, but there are no more flowers. There and number 39, still one, or at least there and number 39, still its ghost." The sun said as he pointed to the dried white calyx. The young woman said again, "Look. It looks like this, but it and number 39, beautiful. We should take it home and have someone engrave it on our photo frame." The young man had to cross the fence again to pick the withered flower. It stabbed him with thorns, so why didn't an hash 39, you call it a ghost? But he was not angry with her, because his young wife was satisfied. She brought the flower back to the living room. There is a painting there of a young couple. The husband has a thorn flower in his chest button. They talked a lot about that flower and the other flower. The last one was white and shiny like silver, which they would later engrave on the photo frame. The wind gently carries all those stories away. The thorn flower said, "That and number 39's life. My oldest daughter found a place on a buttonhole, and my youngest daughter was framed on a gold card. As for me, where will people put me?" The donkey tied nearby glanced at the thorn flower tree and said, "If you want to be happy, very happy and free from the cold, please come into my stomach, my precious pearl. Come closer, I can and number 39. Come to you because this right windrope is a bit short." Thorn did not respond to those rude invitations. More and more, the hemp flower became more and more contemplative, then mulled over his thoughts over and over again, until Christmas. The hemp flower finally concluded a sentence that transcended his lowly situation. The hemp flower was free from said, and quote, "As long as my children are happy, as for me, their father, I am content to stay outside the fence where I grew up." And quote. The last ray of sunlight said to the thorn flower, "In any case, you will be well rewarded, that thought makes you honored." The thorn flower asks, "Will people put me in a flower pot or a photo frame?" They will put you in a short story. The ray of sunlight only had time to say that before it completely went out. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.